How do I do a low FODMAP diet? I cannot deal with these digestive issues any longer. This is a question I get all the time. And so if you're interested to learn how to do a low FODMAP diet properly so that you don't have to spend all your free time trying to figure it out, then this video is exactly for you. Now we're going to cover exactly what you need to start so that you can get through it as smoothly as possible so that you get relief from symptoms and can one day eat with freedom like a normal person again. Now I actually made a FODMAP 101 video here in 2016. That's 8+ years ago. And I don't know what I was thinking. The lighting was so bad and I was so close to the camera, half my head was cut off. It's definitely time for a refresh, and a lot has changed since then. Today, many patients are finally being told about the low FODMAP diet by their doctors, but it seems patients are still left in the dark, like not given resources by the doctor to do the diet properly, or told the wrong things. And so of course, patients don't know what to do. Hence they end up searching online and watching videos like you're doing right now. And so our mission at Diet vs Disease is to make sure you can find reliable resources online. So let's get started. Here are the essentials we're going to cover. What are FODMAPs? What is a low FODMAP diet? And how to do a low FODMAP diet successfully. Okay, so what are FODMAPs? FODMAPs are a type of carbohydrate we eat that, if poorly digested, they cause symptoms in those who are sensitive. The FODMAP acronym stands for fermentable, meaning they are broken down or fermented by the bacteria in the large bowel. Oligosaccharides, disaccharides, monosaccharides, and polyols. Okay, so that's enough with the names. I don't know about you, but I think I'm happy to stick with the term FODMAPs for the time being. So what's the mechanism here? This is good for you to understand about why it's causing symptoms. Remember, if these FODMAPs are poorly digested, they ferment in the lower part of your large intestine, aka your bowel or gut, and this fermentation process, it draws in water and produces carbon dioxide, hydrogen, maybe methane gas, and this causes the intestines to stretch and expand, and it results in strong pain, bloating, visible distension in the abdomen. Now, I've got a diagram that I made many moons ago to illustrate this, and it's still helpful, although I don't know what I was thinking with the bright pink color here. It's like when you see an old photo of yourself and you're like,
what was I wearing?
I have no explanation. Anywho, so you can see green number 1 to the left. This represents food that you eat that contains FODMAPs, okay? Number 2 is when that food gets to the small intestine. Some FODMAPs may pull water into the small intestine, causing diarrhea. So some issues can happen in the small intestine, but typically it's the large bowel. Number 3 shows where the food moves from the small intestine to the large intestine. That's the bowel, the gut. In those with IBS, FODMAPs can travel to the large intestine largely undigested. And number 4 shows when certain bacteria, we have both unhealthy and healthy bacteria in the gut. When these bacteria interact with those undigested FODMAPs, it causes the major symptoms such as bloating, gas, and pain. So yeah, that is what FODMAPs are and how they trigger symptoms. Let's move to the next part, which is what actually is a low FODMAP diet. It's also known as a FODMAP elimination diet, and it's a temporary eating pattern that is, as the name suggests, it's very low in FODMAPs. The primary use of this diet is to relieve symptoms seen in those with IBS, but it's emerging as a useful treatment tool for several other conditions like ulcerative colitis, microscopic colitis, diverticulitis, SIBO, and more. And it's now the widely recognized first-line treatment for IBS patients as it's been shown effective across many high-quality studies. Now, before we go any further, it's very important that I clarify this. A low FODMAP diet is very restrictive. It cuts out numerous common foods and food groups, and therefore nutrients. That means you need to reintroduce foods at some stage. So it cannot be a permanent solution to stay in this elimination phase. And that brings me to the next part of how does it actually work. So there's 3 phases of the diet, not 2, as most people think. It is 3. Phase 1 is elimination. So for 3 to 8 weeks, depends on how you respond, you strictly exclude all high FODMAP foods from your diet, with the goal to minimize your exposure to FODMAPs and get basically symptom-free. Phase 2 is reintroduction or rechallenge phase. Now you reintroduce each FODMAP group one at a time to see what triggers symptoms, and you do it at an increasingly higher dose. For example, you may first reintroduce lactose with a small portion of milk, and if there's no reaction, you would increase it the next day and so on. And once that is done, you move to the next group, like reintroducing fructose. And this is a whole topic in itself, which will need another video, but I have some articles on how to do this below in detail. So you can check the description after this video to see more. Now, phase 3 is the maintenance phase. Once the trigger FODMAPs have been identified, you will know what you can and cannot tolerate and in what quantities. And you can then use this information to formulate your own personalized eating pattern that allows you to eat a wide range of foods without symptoms. Okay, so now we're at the juiciest part of the lesson, because this is how it all applies to you in helping you get better. How to do a low FODMAP diet successfully. As you can see, the low FODMAP diet is not necessarily easy, but it is simple if you follow the process correctly. Now, this is an important point to remember. This diet has only ever been evaluated as a dietitian-delivered diet. There isn't published studies that show it works when patients do it on their own. And for this reason, it's recommended to do this under the guidance of a knowledgeable dietitian where possible. Now, that said, sometimes that might not be possible for you for whatever reason. And so if you are watching this now to try to do it on your own, even though you know it should be done with a dietitian. So let's say you're watching this for a friend because they're thinking about doing it on their own. This is what I recommend that your friend do. So write these down. First, you must be highly motivated and disciplined to do this yourself without guidance or accountability. Just want to be fully transparent with that. You probably shouldn't need to write that one down. Otherwise, it's going to be a tough battle ahead. Second, I recommend you download the Monash University FODMAP app. Okay, Monash is the world's leading source of FODMAP research and information from Melbourne, Australia, where all the research started. And the app is worth every penny. It has a searchable database of foods. Now, in addition, at the very least, use a food list so you can see what foods you typically eat that are high in FODMAPs and swap them for low FODMAP foods on the list. That's the smartest way to do it. Rather than following like a whole new meal plan, just modify what you and your family already eat to be low FODMAP versions of those meals instead. We have a free list you can download after this video. Just check the description below. Third thing, you need to document. This diet is a process, so you need to be systematic about how you do this. You need to note down what you ate and the quantities and when you ate them, and then also any symptoms that you have, right? So basically a food and symptom journal. This is fundamental. You can write it down. You can do it in an app. Like we do with our clients, we have an app that links up to us so we can see everything on our screen and interpret it for them. But however you do it, you need to document it. Otherwise, you cannot join the dots. You won't make any progress. It's a big mistake. You need to see like, okay, this is what I ate here, and these are all the symptoms here. So now you can connect the dots and see the patterns, what triggers what. Otherwise, you can't spot patterns and trends on a blank page, right? Okay, quick recap of what we covered. We looked at what FODMAPs are and some of the names you need to learn. We looked at what is a low FODMAP diet and its 3 phases. And we looked at how to do a low FODMAP diet successfully, including the resources you need to start and the importance of documenting food intake and symptoms. Whew! Okay, so what next? There's only so much we can cover in one video, of course. If you want more information, see the description below where I have free food lists, more in-depth articles and videos, and much more. If you found this useful, I'd really appreciate if you like the video and be sure to subscribe to our channel so you see our future videos as well.